All right, let me fire up my local recording for the second time.
Yep.
I'm going. I'm live.
I'm going.
Right.
I'm logged in. I'm patched on.
Live.
I'm fucking jacked into the cyber zone over
From
here.
WTYP Studios in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
WTYP News.
Oh, that was so good.
That was pretty good. Okay. Welcome to Well, There's Your Problem. It's a podcast about engineering disasters. It has slides. I'm Justin Rosniak. I'm the person who's talking right now. My pronouns are he and him. Okay, go.
I'm Alice Caldwell-Kelly. I'm the person who's talking now. My pronouns, she and her.
Hi, I'm Liam Anderson. My pronouns are he, him. I hate you too.
Liam.
Yay, Liam.
I'm Eleanor Yanaga. I'm the person talking now, and my pronouns are she, her.
All right, we're here. We're podcasting. What you see on the screen in front of you is an isometric castle.
That's right. From Stronghold, the best video game ever made.
Medieval siege warfare.
Yeah, I know how to spell, and as such, the name of this episode is Medieval Siege Warfare.
It is a word that I consistently misspell.
Do you know what? Everyone thinks it's more complicated than it is, and it's just because like Victorians like to wank real hard about doing that AE thing. It's not even like that.
A ligature, yeah.
Yeah, they love that.
If they made the A&E one thing again, people would remember what order it's in.
Into the aether.
Or just do umlauts. Medieval.
Like, medieval I can handle, but words I consistently misspell in the medieval lexicon include monastery, crusade, just stuff like that.
Right.
Just, can't do it. Takes me a couple tries.
Crusade's annoying, yeah.
Wait, how do you spell crusade?
Oh, bitch. See, like I just said, I think it's C-R-U-S-A-D-E. Yeah, and like part of me wants it to be like a C-R-U-C. I don't know.
I keep
that kind of makes sense.
SC in
like
the middle.
cruciform?
Yeah. Like,
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I get that.
You know, the other problem with the Crusades was killing all those innocent people.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's my major problem with Crusades. If I have to go with just one.
Yeah, I have a moral problem and I have a linguistic problem.
Yeah, I was doing research on the siege of Constantinople today in 1204, and they were just like, oh yeah, they raped nuns, and I was like, oh fuck, like I shouldn't be looking at this on a company computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Medieval warfare, it's a bad time for a lot of people, which we are now going to make light of over the next hour and something.
Yes.
Hey, man, if you're going to die at 29 of diarrhea, it might as well be exciting.
That's true.
I mean, like, to be fair, your chances of dying at 29 from diarrhea are massively high up until, like, 1920. So, it's...
this is true.
What a time to be alive.
Or not to be alive.
Yeah.
Yes.
These days, if you're 29, you only feel like you're dying of diarrhea and you have a podcast with your friends.
Yes.
Yeah, that was my experience a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, these days you wish that you actually had died, you know.
Yes.
That's more the process. Fine.
But before we can talk about medieval siege warfare, we need to do the goddamn news.
WTYP News from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Okay, so
that's bad, right?
Yeah, someone dropped a cable car.
Shouldn't look like that.
Yeah,
you shouldn't do that. And
look, I'm against cable cars because of shit like this. This is just what I think of.
It happened quite a bit.
Just build a funicular like a normal person.
Yeah, exactly.
This is
build a tiny little train. Build a tiny adorable train.
Exactly 2 times in my life, and each time I was just like, no, leave me ain't good. I was just like in a corner, like, I bet if I threw up right now, though, I could hit somebody at the bottom, right?
No, every time I've been in a cable car, I've been like, yeah, this is definitely the one that's going to, like, snap off.
Like, this is the end for Alice.
And yeah. Well, time to die. And that happened. This is in Italy, like a week ago. Something was broken on this cable car system where the emergency brake kept activating. And so these geniuses who run the resort decide, okay, well, we've got a problem here. How do we fix it? We clamp the emergency brake off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good idea.
This is a fantastic idea. It works perfectly. It doesn't stop, including when there's an emergency. And so at some point there is an emergency. This thing goes sliding down the cable at 60 miles an hour, snaps the cable, breaks off, hits the mountain, kills fucking everybody. You may be relieved to know that those guys who did the emergency brake thing have now been arrested.
Okay.
Problem
That's
solved.
good.
Everything's fine.
Another person I'd like to arrest in conjunction with this, and as a prison abolitionist, I take no pride in suggesting this. Someone who was reporting on this tweeted it and then put the cable car emoji on it.
That seems.
I'm telling you.
Poor taste is the phrase that comes to mind.
I
You want
just
to
like-
And I
talk
would know
about
something
poor
about
taste?
that.
A lot of French people were very happy about this because of sour grapes about the Eurovision Song Contest.
You're joking.
Yeah, 100%. On God, because Italy won and France came second. And I genuinely saw a couple of French people tweets that were like, well, God's killed some Italians.
Look, I just, not to turn this into Eleanor does some more Eurovision analysis, but I want to tell you that French song, which was just about how love is crushing and I'm going to be in pain forever because romance is so terrible. Thumbs down, thumbs up, the grab your balls, hey, fuck you, mom, I'm not staying in tonight song.
Absolutely.
Who else other than a bunch of Italians would write a song where they're like, yeah, I live with my mom, I make her life a living hell. And then win Eurovision. It's amazing. Sorry, this has been Eurovision chat. I'll stop.
I gotta
Please do not.
disagree,
Yes.
Alice, with your Chiron here, because I believe the United States Air Force managed to fly a jet through a cable car system in Switzerland once.
Okay, fine. I'm willing to say that this is an independent derivation of the same idea.
Yes, well, they reused a different method to get there. The results are the same.
Christ almighty, man.
Yeah, this is not doing anything for the screaming nightmares that just being in a cable car gives me.
No.
I'm gonna continue to stay off of them. Thanks.
Highly recommend not being on a cable car, in addition to not going to nightclubs. Not on the WTYP approved list of things or places you should go to.
Absolutely.
We actually missed for the news. There was a mass shooting today at a San Jose rail yard where the gunman was a VTA employee and killed 8 people.
This is true, yes.
Yeah. So, another day in the world's dumbest country.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, that means the pandemic is over. The mass shootings are coming back.
Yeah, man.
Nature's
healing.
Nature's healing.
I read I'm not tuned into the Eurovision discourse, but I do love the few European follows I have where it's just 95 tweet threads. And I'm just oh, this is what I'm like during the debates. Fuck. Fuck, okay. Or during any Eagles game. I was wondering what that would be like from the outside looking in. And then sometimes it's oh, this is 98 tweets about a Sixers game. And I'm oh yeah, I've been that bitch.
Yeah. You know what, in Europe, what we used to do before we had Eurovision? Was war.
Yeah.
Yes. All right.
Seen here.
War. What is it good for?
Sieging.
Yes.
Yeah.
Glory.
Dying of diarrhea at age 29.
Yes.
Loot. If you want to loot stuff, it's pretty good for that.
Real niche points,
Yes.
Proving really
Decorating
niche
the British
theological
Museum.
points. Ooh, that's a good one.
That is a good one, yeah.
Yeah, stay tuned for the museum bonus episode.
Securing
I have to write
lucrative
still.
spice trade.
How about bombing people until they say it's okay to have gay pride parades?
Sometimes you just loot Venice on your way to go attack Constantinople.
I try to,
Stuff happens,
Can't
Drink
help
one too many glasses of oh god, what's the liquor I like? The clear brandy that makes me want to fight everyone.
Grappa.
Yeah.
Tastes like gasoline.
That'll do it.
Yeah, you wake up after drinking a pint of grappa and you find the some giant winged horses in your house. You're like, oh boy, I should return.
Look, if you wake up after drinking a pint of grappa, you're already ahead. You're winning there.
And
Ask me about my Wednesday.
Yeah. I've got St. Mark's finger bones. How did I get these?
I stole the true cross. looting the Second Temple's menorah out of the Vatican on a bender.
Yeah, you have to like piece back together your night by like going back and tracing your steps and finding all of the secondary relics that you've like thrown into different middens.
Yes. But one of the things you did as part of warfare is sieging, which is when you surround a fort.
It's French for spawn camp.
Yes.
So like fucking campers.
Some guy has a fortification, right? And you don't like that guy. And that guy doesn't like you.
He has a very annoying opinion on the divisibility of Christ.
That's right.
Yes.
Right. You want to celebrate International Friends Day with him.
I want to give him I want to give him some presents in order to change his mind about whether or not we can have women priests.
Yes.
Right.
So the issue is you want to talk to him, but he doesn't want to talk to you. So he went in his fort, which you can't get in. So you either surround the fort, and you either storm the fort and try and attack it, or you starve the guy out. And then when he comes out, you have a nice talk about your problems, you make amends, and you resolve the conflict like adults, right? But we have to go through this whole process first.
So, I mean, I guess a point to make here too is that's not just forts. Sometimes it's cities.
Yes,
because all cities have walls. Because frequently some like points needed to be made,
I just wanted to, Roz, the notes say siege warfare continued in some form until World War I.
Still happening.
Happening,
I guess
buddy.
it is still happening. Yeah. Well, yeah, because Alice added more notes later.
Yeah, I added some modern warfare stuff because that's my sort of...
That's your gig.
That's my gig, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're not above this. We still like a little bit of this, so we do.
Do a little bit of
sieging. It's just it was more romantic when medieval people did it.
Yeah, it's way easier to like fighting somebody is hard and scary because they might kill you, right? So it's way easier to just lock them in a room and like wait until one of you gets bored.
Right. Yeah. And then you can celebrate International Friends Day.
That's right.
Exactly.
The IDF and Hamas have been celebrating for a while.
Is that what the kids are calling it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that that's a siege, right?
That is basically a siege. Yeah, Gaza's a siege.
Blockaded, that's a siege.
Yeah. Ooh, child, that's a siege.
Yeah.
So,
and yet, not even close to being one of the longest running sieges.
Oh, no.
What was the longest siege?
That's the sort of question that I really should have researched before I said something like that.
Google.
This is the fun one.
I'm like, that is a good question because I know about some long ass sieges. Like
the siege of Candia. 1648 to 1669.
22 years.
Of course, it was the lustful Turk.
He lusts in his heart for Vienna and in this case Candia.
For him, sieging is his kink. And
I'm not doing kink and pride discourse. All I'm gonna say on the subject is you kids are gonna see some shit. It's fine. It does not matter. Fuck you.
Hey, check this one out. The Fall of Philadelphia. 1378 to 1390.
Goddamn Cowboys fans.
Which, once again, Philadelphia fell to the Turk.
Again, it's always the Turk, mate.
Oof. That explains. Yeah, that's why Joe and I are teaming up.
I want to know which. I'm trying to find out what the longest siege in French history is.
Either way,
guess what? No, they were trying to get stuff to Candia. I was like, it's the Turk again, but actually, it wasn't. I was like, how do you even damn, well done, French.
Just on vacation, yeah.
Do you remember the 2006 World Cup? We should do.
So we've had siege warfare basically as long as fortifications have existed.
I got to take off the podcast. Yeah.
There's like evidence of sieges back to the Bronze Age in the Indus Valley. And we still have siege warfare today, but we don't call it that. And it's across all cultures. I mean, Native Americans had siege warfare, everyone, right? But one thing in the medieval period, which everyone loves, are siege engines.
Hell yes.
Yes.
Hell yes.
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 But before we talk about the siege engines, we have to talk about the things they're designed to siege, which are
what are we sieging?
castles.
Oh my god!
Oh.
Can you imagine like trying to roll a siege engine into Disney World?
Well, I can now.
Yeah,
right.
Well, we're going to talk about
hijacked
that
the
later.
monorail and turned it into an armored train. That is my base of operations.
Hey, as soon as I got my second vaccination, that's it. I'm booking Euro Disney. It's on.
Yeah, the Magic Crusader Kingdom.
All right, so I guess we got to ask, what is a castle?
It's a fort, but you make it out of stone, so it stays up.
When the king tells you can have it.
Yeah, and there's it's like a private residence as opposed to like a military fort.
Yeah. So like one of the things that people get confused by is that they think sometimes like it has to be connected to royalty, but it doesn't. But usually you have to have permission from royalty to have one. But if there's royalty in it, technically it's a palace, even if it's castellated, which is to say fortified. So yeah, gotta be fortified and you gotta live in it. So it's not a fort; it's a castle.
Yeah, they needed a license from the king. I read this before. A license to crenellate.
What's the most English thing you can fucking think of?
Yeah, this is actually a shall issue jurisdiction for licenses to crenellate. I got a concealed crenellation license.
Does that mean like pop up?
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's
I
just
like close the
isn't it?
shutters. Yeah, I close the shutters over my windows, and then
My merkin is armored.
There were people with unlicensed castles called adulterine castles.
Hell yes.
Oh, that makes it sound sexy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's that ATF. Please no look.
I wonder if they had
attached
like
a foregrip to my castle.
Is there like a horse and cart going around with like castle license detection equipment in it?
You don't have to let him in.
You don't have to lower your drawbridge. I have a surf spinning the antenna.
It's really funny because it's common here, like houses and stuff will like crenellate later, and especially in the Victorian period. And, they have to still get a license to crenellate. But, you'll see something, you'll be like, oh, that's really impressive. But then when you go up close, you realize it's just like some Victorians wanking off again, which they love to do, frankly. So,
well, who can blame them? Why do you have a castle as a rich guy in the Middle Ages?
Because you occupy a privileged position in a system called feudalism, which as Marxists we would know as primitive accumulation, where you make people do stuff for you, and it turns out people don't like that, and they might try and stab you to death with their agricultural implements.
Ideally. Yeah.
Ideally,
so you got to have a big stone or wood house to stop them doing that.
And sometimes other rich guys who have accumulated something, they want the shit that you've accumulated, so they're gonna come over here and they might have a siege engine. Who knows? But like it gets testy. People are constantly taking over stuff on this cursed island. It's changing hands all the time in the medieval period, really. So you might want to throw a drawbridge on that shit. I don't know.
Maybe a drawbridge, maybe some ramparts. Yeah.
You want to like exercise control over an area, both militarily and like culturally, because it's a big thing that you can't miss. Sitting on a hill that kind of sends a message about the king taking an interest.
Yes. Your oldest castles were made of like wood with like palisades for walls. And palisades are the big pointed sticks, right? And that was eventually upgraded to stone because you can burn those down.
Yeah, turns out.
Turns out.
Yeah, it's actually a downgrade from earthworks in that respect.
Yeah.
This is true, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it went full circle. We went back to earthworks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's interesting because like a lot of like the castles that we have left, a lot of the time we'll just have like what you call your moat. So like the big earthwork that they've built up. So it's just a really steep hill that's hard to get up. And that'll still be left. But, you know, even if it was stone, sometimes that bit's just kind of fallen over. But, you know, you still got the earthworks there because that shit stays, man. Good.
Oh, yeah.
My castle's been destroyed, but I'm laughing like the Star Wars meme that, haha, I have the high ground.
I'm sorry, Mario, but the princess is in another castle. Another, you know, common perception of castles is they're these big ornamented structures, maybe with some lava in them, right? Depending on if it's an evil castle or not. But, you know, an actual castle is just a bunch of stone cubes and cylinders and walls.
Yeah, it's a bunker, basically.
Yes.
Like, don't get me wrong, it is ornamented, but the ornament is intended to convey fuck you specifically if you think you're getting in here.
Yeah, and it's like, I suppose that one thing about castles is sometimes they are meant to be pretty, but it's like a specific lording it over you kind of way. So it's like, yeah, it's like, even if they do end up adding extra stuff on and like, yeah, you know, it's all propaganda. Even if it's not doing like specific war stuff, it's doing propaganda. So, like, you know, letting everybody know whomst the fanciest lad is in town.
Yes. In this case, Walt Disney.
Not a big fan of the Jews, unfortunately.
No.
Every time, I've been in Disney World.
He only ever went to a few German-American Bund meetings, right?
You know.
If there are 12 people sitting at a table and 11 of them are Nazis, guess what the 12th person is?
The frozen head of one of America's most cherished animation gurus.
I would gladly go to jail for a chance to drop kick Walt Disney's frozen head.
You just punt him. You punt him.
Yeah, dude, I could probably get distance on that. Set up some uprights.
Yeah, field goal at Lincoln Financial Field.
How about if I kick a field goal, I get 10 million, and if I don't, like, I can go to prison. Whatever, I don't give a fuck. I'm not doing anything on Tuesdays.
Yeah. Okay. There are many parts of a castle, including walls.
So, some would say that the wall is one of the oldest inventions.
Yes.
Nothing says hello to your neighbors like a structure that says fuck you to your neighbors.
Yeah. And in antiquity, and specifically I'm thinking of ancient Greece, if you put up a wall, that was basically like it. Like all your opponent could do was build another wall and just kind of sit there.
I mean, so I'd like to point out that I'm hot for these walls right here. So like this is the sexy wall.
Nice walls.
You see that nice curtain wall on the outside? I love that shit. And, you know, think about walls. Like if we think about Constantinople, until the lustful Turk overtook her, the reason why it was like basically impenetrable is like 3 fucking walls. And they were really big walls. And, you know, and of course the Bosphorus, they're on this like particular, you know, peak, and they've got a chain in the Bosphorus and stuff, but it was like literally just 3 big fuck off walls and no one could do anything about them. And it's like, you know, big fucking wall. But this is a hot wall right here. I like this wall. If I was on holiday with anyone and saw this wall, I would like forcibly walk up to this wall and just stand there for 15 minutes pointing out like different niches to you. And then you'd all be like, can we go drink now? And I'd be like,
hey, I saw you from across the bar. Me and my wall really dig your vibe.
I have one more ancient Greek wall thing, which is a story about how in one of their many wars, Sparta destroyed the city wall of Athens, right? And an unwalled city is defenseless. A walled city is impregnable, basically, at that point. And so there's a story about the Athenian general and statesman Pericles going to Sparta after this on on like a diplomatic mission, and the Spartans ask him, "Hey, what's this we hear about you building walls? You shouldn't be building walls." And Pericles is like, "Yeah, no, we're definitely not building walls. I'm going to investigate personally to find out whether we're building walls. It'll take some time, but like, don't worry about it. Don't look." And meanwhile, in Athens, the state is like seizing tombstones and temple columns and anything made of stone and just throwing them into new walls to try and get them down as quickly as possible.
I love the idea of the city coming to you and being like, "We need your street."
Yeah.
Hey, is it the Ben Franklin Ross or the Betsy Ross that has a bunch of tombstones in it?
The Betsy Ross Bridge, the riprap is built up with tombstones from where Temple University built a couple buildings on a condemned cemetery.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Comfortable. So that shit's haunted. That's good.
Yeah, Ghost Bridge.
Pretty fucking
that's what
haunted,
you get from coming into Jersey. You want to come into Jersey? You are taking your life into your own two hands. That is none of my business. Give us your $5.
Tell me about why this wall is so good.
Well, this is the Theodosian wall.
Not you, Roz.
Oh.
Yeah, I can talk to you anytime I want. I want to hear from Eleanor.
Okay, so in the first place, so like this is the hot stuff because you got the multiple layers of wall. So I can't remember the exact names of every single one of them. So you like your curtain wall's your outside wall. I know that. And then, so do you see how nicely fortified it is at the bottom? It's got like these bits at the bottom, which kind of keep it from collapsing outwards. So you've got your little buttresses there. So because there are like the crenellations on top of all of these, you can sit people right up the very top of the crenellations there. So at 3. And you've got a clear line of sight if you want to shoot down all the way down to the ground. So like, how do you even fucking get up, right? Like they're going to see you coming from a really far way away. So they can do good projectiles at you before you can even get to the wall, okay? Then when you get to the wall, they've got this other position at level 2 where they can shoot down at you. And then at position of number 1, if you do manage to make it past there, so say all your friends got, they could just like hit you with a pokey stick, right? Pokey stick.
That's a technical term for it, right?
Yeah, pokey stick, huge for city defense. And, you can do stuff like a hot pitch, throw anything directly down there. So it's really difficult to get up past this very first line of defense just because of how high those other walls are and the range of defense they have. So it's just like they can do projectiles from a really long way and they're going to see your ass coming. Like you can't sneak up on this, right? That's the thing. So, and it's pretty well patrolled. They have a really good guard system. So yeah, and they actually shell out the money for a good guard system in Constantinople. So yeah. Yep.
For some reason, when you said you can just throw anything down there, what I imagined for some reason was Constantinople taken over by some kind of Trotskyite sect, and they just start throwing newspapers over the wall. I don't know why that came into my mind.
It's like the thing of it is though, like a lot of the time in sieges and stuff, they would just be throwing any old shit that they could get their hands on. They will just like, if you run out of arrows or whatever, you're like, all right, well, here's some rocks. It is
including literal shit.
Yeah, literal shit, which is not really nice to get on you. I don't know if you've heard this. So it's just a really, really good design, and it took it took like 1,000 years for anyone to do anything about it, Yeah,
it's this weird sort of asymmetry of technology, right? Where walls, incredibly easy to develop, not much refining that you need to add, and like the stuff that you need to get over, around, through, or under them, that takes ages to catch up with it.
Yeah, it's like it essentially took canon.
Yeah, well, that's why I love ancient Greek walls so much, is because like if you got walled off in like ancient Greek warfare, the only response was build another wall to like try and wall off their wall before they could finish their wall.
It's like, they got one move.
Yeah.
Actually, I guess I take it back too, because the Lustful Turk, when they took Constantinople, the other thing they had was sappers.
Oh, we'll get to those. Yeah, I put in a slide about them.
Oh, good. Yeah, I like a bit of a sapper, so I do. So, yeah.
reminds me of an architect I used to work with who would, frequently say while trying to justify something expensive, "You only build it once." So later on, these are supplemented by various defensive structures on the walls. So, like, if you want to fire an arrow without getting fired back on, you have an arrow slit, right?
Yeah, or a loop.
You can shoot out, but they can't. I always thought those were called
murder holes.
No, murder holes are something different. Murder holes are just a hole. An arrow slot or or a loop is like specifically you can fire a bow through it, and the crossbar ones give you the ability to traverse a little bit or fire a crossbow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this first one is cool because it's more all purpose, because it's like just put your, because the thing about crossbows is they're really fucking heavy. So that's actually quite nice too, because you can get a little bit of just pop it down there, while you're cranking that thing back.
As one does.
Yeah. So especially when there are improvements in terms of archery and like the longbow sort of takes off, you'll see a more and more move away from having those ones. But I still think they're cool. So
I also really love talking about crossbows because they have a class character in that you didn't really require a sort of like permanently deformed yeoman class to like arm with them like you did longbows. Just pretty much anybody could use one at least once and genuinely kill somebody who was much more important than them, and that terrified the fuck out of people.
Mm-hmm. It's I was reading the other day like a bunch of old coroner's rolls, and as you do. And like from, I guess, the 13th century here in England. And there was like this terrible story about like a dude basically comes out of the woods, walks up to a chick, tries to rape her. She's like, what the fuck? And she screams. Her dad comes out of the house. She shoots her dad with a crossbow, kills him. Someone else is like, are you killing people over here? And fucking, he shoots him in a leg. And then he like runs off into the forest. And everyone is just like, what the fuck? And it's like one of the townspeople. It's like absolutely outrageous, an outrage. But like, yeah, so there's problems. Problems with that shit,
Ask me how Richard Coeur de Lion died.
Richard Coeur de Lion die?
Well, he was besieging a tiny, tiny castle, which was like virtually unarmed, and a kid, like a child, got him in the shoulder with a crossbow bolt.
Oh, he got Omar'd.
Yeah. Good. And he got killed. But as he was dying from gangrene, right? He did the sort of the chivalric thing, and I'm doing heavy air quotes here, because he was like, don't kill this kid, pardon him with my grace and send him away with 100 shillings or whatever, which is a very like kingly thing to do. And so his attendant lords then go to this kid, and they're like, okay, well, listen, come out of the castle. The king has promised that we're not going to kill you. And the kid comes out of the castle and they torture him to death anyway.
Yeah, I mean, so, I'm sorry. I would say that just like basically never believe a king. If he's got like, if there's one thing I can tell you from medieval history, it's that if a king says it's going to be fine and he's not going to kill you, he's 100% going to kill you.
Flayed alive.
Oh.
If he doesn't kill you, someone will misinterpret his orders and kill you anyway.
Well, I think it was I think it was after Richard died. Like he was like he went out going, right, pardon that kid. Dies of the gangrene from the crossbow bolt, and then his various lords are like, yeah, we're gonna. I'm
What's
feeling
he gonna
more
do? Haunt our asses?
Yeah, I'm feeling more in a flaying mood.
Yeah. Another thing which is added to castles is the bartizan, which is this guy on the corner here, so you have a little extra to shoot out of.
Love that shit.
Out.
Yeah. That's I love that because like this is the like medieval equivalent of like when you see middle class people do up they lofts. Here it's like, oh yeah, just like a little bit more room. We're just gonna like
I put an extension on my gatehouse.
It's a little bay window, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you had hoardings where you built a temporary wooden structure on the castle when a siege was imminent, so that you had better lines of fire, and you could dump stuff on the people who were right next to the walls.
Yeah, this is a really nice example too, because obviously we don't have a lot of extant hoardings. So like, if you do see a castle in the wild, what you can check out for is you can see like little buttresses underneath that they would put out. Like they will build those into the wall with the expectation that they can do hoardings later. But then or if you get some money, you can do it in stone. But it's nice when you can actually see examples like this, because obviously when shit's made out of wood, it doesn't necessarily last 600 years all the time.
And here's one done in stone. I think that's a machicolation. I don't know. Yeah. This is where you dump stuff on the people trying to attack you.
Apparently not boiling oil.
Yeah, that's like pitch is big.
Gotcha.
Yeah, sometimes.
Is it because oil would have been a huge pain in the ass to waste, basically? Because I imagine you're getting it from animals.
Yeah, like what do you get? Like, I mean, seriously, if you think about it, it's like, are you using like animal fat or something? It's just like, all that stuff is good shit. Like people would either like want to be eating that, or that's the sort of stuff that, for example, you use to treat leather, or you use to make parchment, which is what everybody writes on. So, you don't want to be just using up oil. Like there's just no way. Like it's too much of a high value product.
Yeah. And pitch sticks. It sticks and it burns and it soaks into the ground. I mean, it's like people talk about Greek fire and stuff, but like if you want a napalm analog, it's not that much of a stretch, right?
Yeah, I would like to know what Greek fire is, though.
I imagine there's a lot of byproducts of the tanning process you could dump out the side of the castle, which would be very nasty.
Oh, yeah. Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
Or just the idea of like dumping mercury. I know it's anachronistic, but the idea of dumping mercury on someone, be like, enjoy that. 10 to 20 years down the line, you guys are not going to have a good time.
Yeah, a 20-year-old with a life expectancy of 30 being like, I don't even give a shit.
It's just a perfect day for this way to end.
It's just, there's a lot of YOLO vibes happening in the medieval period, and especially wars. It's like, well, you get through this one, another one will come along. This is not, I don't want to be one of those people. I'm always like fighting with people when they're like, there were so many wars in the medieval period. I'm like, fuck off. There were so many wars in the 20th century. When I'm fucking talking about wars, but, those are real wars, but the thing about rich people is they do be likened to risk other people's lives. So
that's true.
Yeah, I would say that there are definitely less wars in the medieval period, because there was a period of time when England and France only had one war with each other over the course of 100 years.
And that's the interesting one. It's more than 100 years, actually, because they had a timeout in the middle for the plague. So they were like, all that halftime.
Hey, can you guys give us a couple weeks? We'll be with you. It's like shoveling bodies, like
calling out sick from war. Yeah.
Basically, yeah. So that's a good one. So yeah, I was literally just talking about this on my podcast today. So I was spending a lot of time talking about the Jacquerie today. So
hell yeah,
which one of the premier a bunch of poor people kill some rich people
revolts.
So I love to see it.
Tight.
Yeah, very tight. Yeah, very tight.
Love a peasant revolt.
Hell yes. Hell yeah.
Another thing you might have in a castle is a moat.
Yeah, not to be confused with a moat.
Mm-mm.
Yes.
Oh, that's a hot moat, though.
That's a good moat. Yeah.
Oof. Fuck rich people, but look at that building. Come on.
You could have a dry moat or a wet moat. And
all moats are good. Just maybe lube it up a little bit. It's fine. It'll be fine.
The thing is, if you get a dry moat, it's also going to inevitably fill up with garbage.
Yeah.
This is true. Yeah.
You're just going to use it for a midden heap. Yeah. So.
Well, don't they?
Which is kind of good, because nobody wants to pick their way over like a thing full of like broken pot shards.
Yeah, that's not fun either, is it? So.
Yeah, it's like you make your own sort of defensive fortification merely by throwing your shit and garbage into this convenient hole.
BYO fortifications.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's a hot castle there, though. Who's this? Who is she?
I'm not sure. I just pulled this from the Wikipedia article.
Triangle Moat Castle.
Yeah,
we'll find out.
Yeah, I will find out, because that's hot. Hold up.
Me and my cousin will saw you from across the moat.
Me and the walls of Constantinople saw your moat.
It's in Scotland. It's Calaverick Castle.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, girl. Okay. That's fine.
Okay.
I should have packed more beer.
You have yeah, I might go hit the refrigerator in a second.
Can you get me one?
Unfortunately, no, because I don't have an adequate catapult.
I do, Alice. Because I think of you.
Oh, very kind.
So if you have a dry moat, it's just something in the shape of a moat.
The EU is rearming.
And, people have to go down a hill and then back up a hill to attack your castle, which is annoying, right? It slows people down. If you have a wet moat, it does a lot more because you can fill the moat with shit so people get diseases.
And alligators.
And I don't think they had alligators. Did they have alligators?
No. How would they have had...
Also,
only in the United States, right? Those are crocodiles.
It's actually more deadly without wildlife because unless you're like a fisherman, and even then, you don't fucking know how to swim. Are you going to take time out from your like patch of beets that you farm to learn to swim?
To get swimming lessons from the Lord.
In one of the castles, my family's from near Český Krumlov in Western Bohemia, and the castle there, they have bears in the moat.
Hell yes.
Yeah,
Fuck no.
Yeah, it rules.
I don't want that.
Yeah, so it's very funny too because it's an extremely it's got like a big Baroque like pink turret and it very much looks like a Barbie dream castle, and then you're like, fucking bears, what? So it's good. That's good value. That's good. That's a good day out for the family.
They just like unfurl a big banner and check on the front that just says, "We have released the bears."
Pretty much. So
good luck.
Yeah, but like if you get in the water like past like I don't know fucking waist level at this point, you're drowning, especially if it's full of shit, which all water is.
And it's hard to tunnel underneath because then you get water in the tunnel.
Right? Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I believe your only problem here is if you're at the top of a hill, it's pretty hard to get the water up there to fill the moat.
Also, once it is up there, it is by definition stagnant. You're not changing that water out, and also you're shitting in it all the time. Which does give some sort of impetus to the whole we have to move the course every 2 weeks for clean air thing.
Yeah, I'm thinking you're going to get a lot of skeeters too.
Yeah.
So
I am very secure living in this swamp of human feces.
Yes.
Welcome to Philly.
Listen, I drink the Schuylkill water every day and I'm fine.
Yeah, me too.
No, you get water from the Delaware.
No, I actually go with a bucket, Roz.
You go
with scoop it out of the Schuylkill.
I
too drink Yingling lager.
Yeah, well, this is true. Well, they get that water before they have a chance to put industrial effluent into the river.
Before the shit.
Now, once you have a moat, you need a way in and out, which is why you have another defensive mechanism, the drawbridge.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Is this Malta? This looks like Malta to me.
Probably.
Yeah, I jumped the gun. This is why I said the EU was rearming.
Yeah. We have here a synecdoche for EU migration policy.
Yes.
Which is to send them all to upstate New York?
I think this is a good drawbridge too, though, because like a lot of the time, if you see, for example, like a lot of people's relationship to castles as you see it in like a fucking Disney movie, right? It's like a drawbridge is like this huge thing, like an absolutely enormous one. It's like, no, it's all like your little man here.
Kind of tiny and cute,
yeah.
You don't need a big gap.
No. It's just like enough to fucking not be able to get a couple of horses across. That's it. So.
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe a man could jump across, but when the drawbridge is lifted, he's just sitting there at the ledge.
Yeah.
Getting like shit and rocks thrown at him.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey guys.
Now you can also defend your castle through the use of a portcullis.
Yeah.
This guy.
Portcullis.
The big guy with the wooden slats and the spikes on the bottom, right?
Yeah, like a safety cage. Same thing. Same.
It's kind of the opposite of a safety
cage. Yeah, we have segregated the people assaulting our castle in what we have dubbed the chill out room.
Yes.
where we are throwing rocks, shit, and hot pitch on them in an attempt to get them to calm down.
So the attackers run into your castle, right? And then you open the front one, but you have the back one closed, or maybe you have it open so they think they can run through, and then you close the back one, and then they're all like, "Oh, this is bad." So then they run back, but it's too late. You close the front one too, and now they're stuck in there.
And now you siege them. Oh,
yeah. Now you can rain down upon them gifts through the murder hole.
Oh, I really don't like the way the vegetation's grown in those patterns.
Oh boy.
Friendship hole, Roz.
I like Friendship hole. I put some Gothic ribbing on here, though.
Yeah,
I like that.
It's really nice. Like it looks like the vault of a cathedral or something, and you just see boss stones there ordinarily.
Some master mason being like, "Listen, I only know how to make one vault,
but I can make that one vault very well."
Yeah,
exactly.
All right, so you trap between the two porticuli, and then people dump boiling water, or sometimes they throw burning logs down there, or pitch, or any crap. Just
harsh language,
whatever the hell they have. Yeah.
Hey, asshole.
Strongly worded letters. What is this? I can't read.
It starts with the T from SpongeBob, but just has to stop there. Widespread literacy was a mistake.
Now,
don't I know it?
Yeah. Now, if somehow the attacking army gets through all the walls,
if this podcast was made in the Middle Ages, behold thine problem with two monks and two nuns. It's like it's an informal exchange of letters going around between various fortified monasteries.
We have an Islamic scholar.
I guess I'm not on this version of the podcast.
Yes, we have we have
you could just say dirty Jew, right?
We could do this podcast,
the whole time.
But then
we could do this podcast,
be,
but only in Al Andalus.
A Muhammadian.
Yeah, exactly.
A Moor. So if they manage to get into the castle, then everyone pulls back to the keep, which is Alice did put this one in, and this drawbridge is not doing much.
Listen, I just wanted to give everybody who remembers this little isometric piece of art the same nostalgia throw as I did. What's a keep, Roz?
Why does it have an arrow slit on the front of the rampart, but these ramparts back here don't have anything on them?
It's vibes.
Because when they were designing this for Age of Empires 2, they didn't put a lot of thought into it.
Look,
they had like 60 polygons to work with.
That's true.
It's a sprite. It's a sprite.
Whatever, man.
There's no polygons here.
Whatever, man. Go away.
So somebody told them that they had to worry about polygons, so they did.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Alice. Roz, shut up.
Okay, well, Alice wrote the notes for this slide, so I can shut up.
Oh, are she special?
Yeah,
you feel special there? You're a special boy?
It's a keep. It's like where the fancy people live and to some extent work. It's got like all of the administrative functions here, and it's therefore also the best protected bit and like the last defensive redoubt.
It has the tax office in there where you're trying to deliver the check to keep the orphanage open.
Yeah, exactly.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
I mean, like, this is extremely like where the people go to wear their fanciest pants and lord it over other people. Because it's like, I mean, another thing about castles to understand is that it's usually like a complex of buildings, right? So it's like you get through the big wall, and when you're in the big wall, like, there's going to be all sort of shit in there. There's going to be like stables. There'll be like a kitchen because you don't keep the kitchen in the keep because that shit burns down all the time.
Right.
There'll be like a forge. Then there'll be like other buildings that other people live in. But the fancy people, they live in the keep. And then you go back into the keep if the first walls of the castle are impregnated.
Yeah, and then you like stay there, and then all the various women and children. Yeah, and then if that gets a bit too much, the women and children kill themselves to avoid inevitable depredations,
or forced baptism, stuff like that.
Yeah,
I'm talking about York.
Horror of horrors.
Yeah, Roz, it's not cool, man.
yeah, we did that in York here. There was a big old pogrom.
Tell that to the Mormons when they inevitably posthumously baptize us.
Fucking Mormons. Yeah, those guys upstate were very nice, but I was just like, you keep your hands to yourself, sir. That shit out of here.
So, your really early castle keeps were like sort of located on a mound outside the walls, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So that's so you'd have your Bailey on your Moat. So you have you have a fake hill, and then it's not necessarily in the actual one, which is interesting because so they would have some kind of bridge whereby they could get to it. There's a castle here, Arundel, that just got jewel heisted 2 days ago.
Wow. I love Arundel Castle, but they stole Mary Queen of Scots' execution rosary,
which I think that's very funny to me.
On the third day it reopened. Yeah,
and it's funny because it's this huge castle, and you see it from the train station, or whatever, down in the valley, and you're like, holy shit, look at that fucking castle. I saw it, and I'm lost. It really freaks my nut to this day. But it's a fake Victorian castle, and they were just this is what a castle looks like. And then you go in there, and they do still have the little old Moat and Bailey from the 8th century or some shit, and they're we just built this around it. And anyway, they got jewel heisted, so that's kind of funny. Yeah.
Another thing you might have in a castle is a secret passageway in and out.
Nice.
Is this Denver International Airport?
No, this is Disney World.
This is that scene in Austin Powers.
Yeah, I was thinking of putting that one in. So if you get sieged, maybe you can bring food in and out without the enemy knowing that you're there. But it didn't really work that well because you can't tunnel that far because it's the Middle Ages.
Yeah, it's mostly only useful for spying on your scullery maids.
Yeah,
but that's always good fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good kind of fun.
Yeah.
Finding out which of your courtiers are secret Catholics and or secret Protestants, whatever.
Yeah.
So then sort of the whole ensemble. Here's a castle.
It's Crack the Chevalier in Syria, which we will come back to later. Big thing to note here is the concentric arrangement of walls, which, as we saw on the Theodosian walls, you can just do that bigger. You get through the first one, you're still fucked because you got to get through the second one.
Yes.
Well, clearly, whoever's about to attack this is going to be fine. Look how much higher up they are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Note the lack of moat because there's no source of water up there.
Yeah.
And
there's
also
a road
how it's
leading right to it. That can't be very good.
It's controlling the traffic on that road because that's part of what they're for. It's both a trade post and a way of administering taxes and customs and things like that. Also means that if you want to get to it, they're going to see you coming from one way or the other.
I mean, this is a hot castle, but I don't like to praise it too much because anti-Crusader action.
Yes.
But unfortunately to me, this is the equivalent of when someone tells you that they fancy a Tory on Twitter for no reason. It's why are you admitting this? That's my secret shame for this one. This would be this is
Crack the Chevalier, the hot Tory.
Yeah. The Crack the Chevalier is the hot Tory of the castle world. I'm sorry about it. So.
Yeah, and you can see all of the bastions, the little towers on the walls that have sort of over interlocking fields of fire, which is very useful.
Sometimes your area encircled by the walls was really big. What's that one? I think it's in Wales. There's a really big one.
Caerphilly?
Yeah, I think it's Caerphilly.
I think that's the one. It has a whole town inside the walls, which I don't know if that makes it a castle anymore.
Well, here's the thing:
Quebec City is a castle.
You can apply this stuff to fortify pretty much anything. You can fortify a monastery like this. You can fortify one dude's house like this.
Yeah. And I mean,
it's very flexible.
You do see a lot of monasteries that get fortified like this because a lot of monasteries get got and jewel heisted, especially in the earlier medieval period when you still got shit like Vikings around.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I bet Clooney was unhappy they took down their walls in the French Revolution.
Ooh, yes, child.
So now, if you're on the other side, you're the people without the castle. What do?
Siege engines.
You need some anti-castle technology. Demonstrated
Preferably a dragon,
Yeah, I was about to say air power is very good against castles, but dragons were pretty hard to come by.
It's a shame.
I wonder how much if you have an all stone castle, I bet a dragon wouldn't do that.
I think that it could kill people that were on top of it could kill your guards or whatever.
This is true, yeah. You sort of kept everyone inside. I don't know. There's got to be some. If there were dragons, there would be anti-dragon defenses, which we haven't learned of yet.
As yet, no.
No fantasy world seems to have come up with anti-dragon defenses.
I guess
just a flat gun on top of a fucking castle. Yeah.
I guess that terrible end of Game of Thrones did.
I guess so.
And it was really effective until it suddenly stopped being effective at all, which was, a nice little plot hole.
The time the Germans mounted flat guns on tank shells, maybe.
Yeah. I just,
it doesn't come around until the 44th, so.
I'm still fucking mad about it, so. I don't really want to talk about it, but yeah. I extremely fucked my boyfriend over. He hadn't seen it when we started dating. I was like, come on, it's good. And then by the end he was like, I hate your ass. I was like, I'm so sorry. I went really hard. I was like, no, that's political. No, you're gonna like it. There's titties, and then oh god.
And then what happened?
Yeah.
So okay, we have no air power to speak of.
That's a shame.
So we need ground-based offensive weaponry. So we have siege engines.
Yes.
That's what we're here for.
Yes.
Finally get to the topic of the episode.
We get to the topic of the episode.
58 minutes in.
Look at these lads. Look at these lads. I mean, this is so much fun.
Yeah. It's a big guy.
Here's a big trebuchet. Yeah.
I love a trebuchet.
It's a fun one. This is actually where the term engineer comes from.
Really? Okay,
yeah,
shit, I didn't know
because the original engineers were military engineers who did military stuff. And then at some point they branched off into civil engineering.
So you're saying working at a defense contractor is actually the purest form of engineering, Roz?
Actually, yes. They didn't really branch off until the 1800s and when the railroad industry became a major employer of engineers.
Yeah, you had to go to West Point before you did any civil engineering first.
Yeah, it's they're going to make sure that you pay you got to kill at least 5 children before you can construct a bridge. All right, that's how we do it.
No, the way you did it is you go to West Point, you get a commission, you resign it after 2 months, you go to work for the railroad.
Yes.
Bring back that level of respect for our nation's military.
Yes. So lots of different kinds of siege engines. We'll talk about a few here. Starting with
a very complicated one.
The ladder. This Alice, this is your slide.
Yeah. This is a good way of climbing a wall. Is you just put a ladder up against it, and then you climb that ladder and you hop up onto the top.
You hope none of your dickhead friends kick it out from under you.
Well, and you know what? Those hoes 100% did be using ladders, though. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
This is not a bad way of climbing a wall if you don't mind the first 100 people climbing the wall being killed.
And luckily, rich people never do. So
no, they never do.
They're all disposable. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I was going to say that the Romans used to have a specific military award, like a palisade laurel wreath, for being the first guy to climb onto an enemy city's walls to capture it. This was almost always awarded posthumously.
Oh yeah, I'd imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fully the meat grinder, right? Like even if you have like dozens and dozens of ladders with people climbing them, it's so easy for people on the top to tip them over or throw stuff down at you or shoot you with arrows. And even if you get up onto the ramparts, you're then fighting on like a tiny wedge of stone against both directions at the same time, possibly against pointy stick, and a lot of people in possession of pointy sticks who really don't want you to like take their castle.
Yeah.
So it's a bad time, and you will die doing this.
Yeah, because guy with pointy stick too. Again, guy with pointy stick is almost always like of the same class as those who have been shoved into the meat grinder, right? So it's like it's just assumed they're gonna get killed, and like no, so they're 100% gonna. A lot of the time, especially in medieval wars, actually the kill count's fairly low because people don't actually like stabbing other people to death. Like that's not fun for us. It's really difficult to psych yourself up for that. But in these situations, it's like it's a lot different, right? Like the battlefield is one thing in a pitched battle, but if it's like your house that you fucking live in, people start getting a lot more stabby. That's the thing.
On the plus side, this horrific, brutal process of warfare did get a full-size Cadillac SUV named after it.
Oh, that is true.
Use of siege ladders is called Escalade.
Yeah, Escalade.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and Escalades also kill a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, I think that actually Cadillac Escalades are probably responsible for more deaths.
as deadly.
Yeah.
Very it's another disproportionate power thing because the Escalade can murder a pedestrian, but it's very difficult for a pedestrian to murder an Escalade.
Yeah. Asymmetrical warfare.
Mm-hmm. Well, eventually they improved on the ladder by way of a large enclosed ladder on wheels.
That shit rules. Sorry, but that shit just rules. Like that's just and you're lying if you say that this shit don't rule. It does.
Put the ladder in a box and put that box on wheels.
Fuck yes.
The notes.
Fuck yes.
Welcome to regular car reviews.
1192 Siege Tower.
This baby. The transmission sucks, and then there's just audio of me peeing, I guess.
There's no cup holders in this fucking thing.
The extended literary metaphor goes here. Alice, you wrote these notes too.
I did.
I demand you do the slide.
Putting the ladder in the box and then putting the ladder box on wheels is useful because it stops you getting killed while you're climbing the ladder, and it lets you like get more people onto the top at the same time.
Also, BYO drawbridge.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was about to say.
Notably, does not stop you getting killed when you go onto the ramparts.
No.
That's the problem, is you still have to be fighting on top of a wall, which nobody wants to do. Also, these take a long time to build and they're very heavy, and they get stuck in mud a lot.
Imagine trying to roll them is not a pleasant experience.
There's not a lot of ground clearance is the thing.
No. And like the usual solution if one of these gets stuck in the mud is sigh and start building another one. It's not at all uncommon for like sieges involving siege towers to just have a couple of these just be abandoned and they just leave them there, and then the third one is the one that gets through, or the fourth one, or the fifth one.
I mean, the thing about that is as well, think about how much wood this requires, and one of the things that people in castles tend to do is like deforest the area around them so that they can see if a fucking army is coming.
Yeah, you gotta bring this all of the equipment for this with you. Which is way more difficult than just carrying a bunch of ladders.
Yeah.
What I'm noticing here is this bridge needs a railing. That is not OSHA right there. That's a major fall hazard.
Is that a ram that they have on the bottom of the siege tower?
That would make sense. That's what you really
yeah,
want
it
to
looks
happen.
like it is. Yeah.
That's what you want to happen is while the people on the upper story are, going across the bridge.
Although I gotta say, like, how are you getting up enough
lower
force?
story are then collapsing.
I guess you maybe have like 20 dudes in the bottom just sort of shoving for all they're worth.
Yeah. I
don't know if the back comes out at the siege engine.
Ooh, that's a hot date, am I
right? Siege engine prolapse. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, God.
I didn't think I'd ever string those words together.
Yeah, here we are.
The worst thing that can happen to the siege engine is both of the things work.
Yeah, we've just sent a bunch of guys into their death because we have breached that exact section of wall.
Good.
Yeah.
I kind of like all the dudes in the middle here who are just kind of like hanging out,
just vibing.
Yeah, they're just like,
jump, you fuckers.
People underneath this door down here, just like, I am cowering,
pelted with rocks. Yeah.
I'm safe in my house.
Yeah. I do like they go through the effort of putting a peaked roof on it. Like, this might get. We want to make sure it doesn't suffer from water damage.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's more of a plunging fire problem, but yes. Also, you'd normally like coat these in like animal skins that have been soaked in water to try and make them a bit more resistant to heat and fire.
Yeah, because people will shoot flaming arrows at your ass. So,
that's
like
a good point.
That's real. And that's where you get all the pitch from, right?
A literally hot date, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of thought that would land a little better, but it's all good.
Sorry, we were not past the back walls being blown out, so
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't you hate it when people undermine you?
Here's another way.
When people undermine you, don't you ever think about where the word undermine comes from?
Well, this is another way to blow out some walls.
Is this just one poor guy?
Yeah.
Oh, he's just got to haul all the rocks himself?
So one thing about castles, a limiting factor, if you will, is that they have to be built on ground.
Mm-hmm.
And with this one weird trick, you can siege down a castle merely by removing the ground underneath it. You can dig a tunnel. This is actually called a sap. And so the guy who digs it is a sapper, which thus became a sort of a common name for military engineers. And you can dig this sap under the walls, and you can either just like go straight through, like the reverse Great Escape, and just like jump out and behind the enemy fortifications and stab everyone to death. Or
this is the shittiest surprise I've ever gotten.
Surprise! Or you can collapse the tunnel under the wall and hope that it brings down whatever's underneath it because it doesn't really have like a foundation.
I was about to say I would have thought there would be big wooden piles down here, but I guess not.
No, you just start with you dig a trench, you put big rocks in there, and then you move to smaller rocks.
That's pretty dumb.
Well, the thing of it is, a lot of the time, in order to like this particular picture makes it look like, oh yeah, you're like right up close to it. A lot of the time, you wouldn't be digging from this close in. It's like you're digging from fucking miles out. So again, when the Lustful Turk did it, they were like down the block. The tunnels that they were digging were really extensive because you can see people really close up. And
right.
So it's just too difficult to actually get past any kinds of artillery or whatever to be sapping this close up ordinarily. But yeah.
So the way that you collapse this tunnel is like you build the tunnel same as a mine at this point. You just dig into the earth and you put like wooden props up. You want to collapse those wooden props, and the safest way to do that is to start a large, slow-burning fire. And I have a primary source here because at the siege of Rochester Castle in 1215, King John orders the first Earl of Kent send to us with all speed 40 of the fattest pigs of the sort least good for eating to bring fire beneath the tower. And this works. You can just set fire to a bunch of pigs and the fat will eventually conflagrate enough it'll collapse a tunnel. And later on, once gunpowder makes it west, you can refine this by adding explosives. And there's also lots of very fun ways to countermine. If you are aware that your enemy is doing this and you are in your castle or your monastery or whatever and you don't want them to do it, you can for instance, find out where they're tunneling, dig into it, and pump smoke into it with a bellows and suffocate everyone in the tunnel. Or you can dig your own counter tunnel and fight them underground, the worst way to die in the history of warfare.
Thank you.
I'm good.
Avoid
Not
that.
doing the Rotten Creek. No, just kill me. It's fine.
Hand to hand in pitch dark underground. No, thank you.
How are you supposed to fight? You got to have one guy with the torch.
Pretty
Steve's
much.
got to bring in the torch behind you. And then Steve takes an arrow to the leg. And then I guess at that point, what you do is you just a big sharp stick, light it on fire, and then just do it that way.
Yeah, you're just kind
Steve,
of swinging.
Minecraft Steve.
Anyway, the good news is that far from having passed into history, all of this was still current as of at the absolute least World War One, where there were like tunneling companies of miners who were recruited to dig under trench lines and plant explosives under them. It's a miserable job. It's terrible. It's got to be one of the worst in a long list of shitty jobs to have.
Comes up a lot in the Good Soldier Schvick. You guys read the Good Soldier Schvick?
Oh yeah.
There's lots of talking to Hungarian sappers that goes down. Yeah. Okay.
And did they ever use the Roman tunneling method of building the big fire and then throwing ice water on it?
Huh.
I don't know.
Right.
I'm gonna have to look into that. Thanks for the homework. Great. Fantastic.
Okay, we have some sieging problems later in the episode. Here's really
Here's
old
how you
siege
can play
engine.
at home.
Yeah, this is a ballista. It's like a really big crossbow.
Yeah, that's hot.
Oh, I use these in Cell Damage. Alice, did you ever play Cell Damage?
No, never.
No? Okay. It was a cell animated vehicle combat game on the GameCube. And that seems like the weird shit you would have enjoyed.
I never had a GameCube.
Really?
Really?
Okay.
Pretty good. It's a cube. You can play games on it.
It had a little handle.
I only respect one GameCube, and it's the Carver.
That'd be pretty good if you could take your GameCube and like put some like decals on it and make it look like the Kaba.
I'm sure I've seen a Photoshop of the Carver as a GameCube.
My brain is trying really hard to turn this particular ballista into like a cute little bird. It's all like, like there's, it's got little birdie feet.
It looks like a dipping bird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My brain is like, that's what you're seeing right now. So that's good.
So you put a big bolt in here, right? Which is like a big arrow. And then you take this thing, put it in the back. You take these guys and you twist these ropes. And then when the ropes are sufficiently twisted, it's aimed in the right way. You release them, the ropes untwist, the wooden bits go forward, and that shoots the bolt out the front towards whatever you're shooting at. And yeah, that's a ballista. Or at least that's my understanding.
Sounds like a lot of
works.
work for very little gain.
Yes, it was not. The projectile was not very big. Wasn't very effective against walls. The Romans used these a lot, but in the medieval period, they found some better and easier ways to deal a lot of damage without all of, particularly the metallurgy this required. Right? Yeah. So this is the thing about the Middle Ages. They had better technology than the Romans.
Yeah. I mean, I get wound up about this whole thing, but like they really did. I know everyone doesn't believe it, but
there was a period of imperial decline, and decline means things get worse.
Okay, look, if there are no slaves, if I don't see any fucking brown slaves in here, then this means that everything is worse.
Yes,
that's just how it works, basically.
Jesus Christ.
But I mean, yeah, like I don't understand. Well, I do understand. I was about to say I don't understand how the Roman Empire gets such good PR, and it's like because a bunch of slave empires wanted to justify what they were doing, so they lied to y'all and told you that like stuff was really good. Those people, no. Like the stuff I've heard people say that they think that like Romans had workable medicine and stuff, and it's like I don't know what to tell you. Like, things 100% were not okay. Shit, Christ, it's It ruins my life, and it sends that terrible human pet man after me. My life is very hard.
I love Roman medicine because it'll be like, yeah, you have angered the gods. Now I have to punch you unconscious and take all of your blood out.
Here's some hemlock.
Yes.
Good luck.
Yeah, there's a lot of like, oh yeah, you got junk problems. Why don't you make a model of your junk and then go take it to the temple?
Is that
have you
not
tried
what
rubbing
you
a bunch
do?
of foul-smelling pastes on it?
Do you guys
Good
not
idea.
do? Oh.
Which temple did you bring it to, Liam?
Don't worry about it.
Liam has 69 answering phone messages. Please pick up your tiny replica statues that you have left
it's
here.
not that tiny. It's not that exciting, but it's not that tiny. And we can move swiftly on from talking
What
about
are we replacing a ballista with, Ross?
All
Speaking
right.
of dongs,
battering ram.
it's a battering ram, yeah.
Dunk.
On
I
some
read this as
wooden
this one is
wheels.
combined with a manlet.
Yeah,
I
a,
was just
a
like,
mantlet. A mantlet. It's a
I've
big,
dated a few of those. Hey,
it's a big wooden shed, so they can't fire arrows at you, right?
Dudes love being in sheds. It's
It's a
as
man
simple
cave.
as that.
Man cave
you know?
on wheels.
Yes.
It's an early man cave, for when your wife won't shut up. Am I right, fellas?
I hate my wife so much. I built a battering ram in our backyard. And when she realized
I'm going on
when she
siege.
won't make me
siege.
dinner, I brought it into the family room on purpose.
So what you do with this is you point it at the wall. You get a bunch of people inside, and they sort of Fred Flintstone car it into the wall, right? And hopefully the battering ram does something.
Yeah, it's less that you're running the whole ram on the wheels and more that you wheel it up and then you swing the ram back and forth from, like this is the thing it's suspended from.
Well, I'm still accurate in that they're Fred Flintstone carring it.
That's true. That is true. You propel it by Fred Flintstone carring this. But then once you've done that, it's way easier to just swing the thing back and forth with handles. You don't even have to swing it forward. You can just pull it back and let it drop, and it'll smack into mostly a gate is what you want to hit this with. Like this hitting into a wall, you're not going to do that much. But like the relatively weaker spots like gates and portcullises and stuff.
Yeah, so that's
I just think they're neat.
Then you have the classic, the catapult.
Yes.
This is a very small one.
Artist's impression.
Yes. Well, I used up all my spoons for the day building this catapult.
Or a mangonel if you're nasty.
Yeah.
Mangonel?
Mangonel. Yeah.
Mangonel, that's what I thought.
Alice is another year slides.
Mangonel, hey, for when you need to throw a meatball. I don't know.
I was going
like,
with I don't know.
You impart some rotational force to launch a projectile upwards and forward. You can use this to throw stuff into walls, more usefully over walls. Because the one weak spot that a castle has, other than being built on the ground, is that it doesn't have a roof over it.
Yes.
And you can throw stuff. Now, we've talked about stuff before in the context of murder holes. Stuff can include, but is not limited to, rocks, dead cows, dead guys, piles of like severed heads, death threats.
Trotskyite newspapers.
Trotskyite newspapers, balls of flaming garbage.
Yes.
Just
Please
whatever.
don't call me that in public.
Just whatever you feel like. Just go nuts with it. You put it in the little basket thing on the end of an arm. The arm is like held under tension from cords. You release that tension, it goes flying up and over and lands on somebody, and they have a bad day. You hope.
Now, here is my thesis here. Even if the castle did have a roof, you could still just throw things in there and just go straight through the roof.
That's
right?
true.
Even if it were like a modern
true.
roof, I bet if you threw a dead cow into like an Amazon headquarters,
we could do it, man.
Probably go
So-
through
Make
the
sure
roof.
the old trolley barn.
The dead cow and dead dude thing is an early example of bacteriological warfare.
Well,
yes. Yanni Beg did it out on the Crimea. with plague bodies. And I think that there's something about the Justinian plague in that happening as well. I could be making that up. Yeah.
You want to spread plague and disease within the castle or town that you're sieging, especially if you're going to keep them in there for a long time, because, well, it's difficult to like stab people when you have plague. And you're also doing this without a germ theory of medicine. You're doing this on the basis that, like, well, this guy had plague. We'll probably give them plague. Don't know how. It's bad smells, probably.
Just because they don't know about germs doesn't mean they don't understand contagion, right? Like, you don't have to be, you don't have to know that there are microbes doing it or whatever the hell. And like, don't at me if bacteria aren't microbes. I don't give a fuck.
Don't worry, someone's gonna at you in the comments.
And I think that you'll find, shut up, nerd. How about
Eleanor,
that?
thank you so much for bullying our comment section. They need it.
Who do deserve it, you guys.
That is the main purpose of this podcast.
I cannot emphasize enough that you people deserve this.
Look, I'm very tired, and I'm giving you people gold here. I'm giving you names of obscure, Mongol horde leaders. So you take that. I don't care if about the
launching
microbes,
this
right?
podcast into your courtyard with a mangonel.
That's right. I'm on Janelle. Sorry, I'm just extremely real Italian.
I don't know. I didn't know. I've never seen the word in print before.
I launched the calzone.
Hey, I threw out my car into the castle. Hey.
All right, the Virgin Catapult.
You guys
versus...
are assholes.
That's true.
What I didn't realize is these were done also by like tying ropes around like the axis of rotation of the catapult arm. Because for some reason I always thought they had come up with some form of elastic. I guess not, because it was.
I wonder what elastic was invented.
Elastic is like, I don't know, you wet leather cords and like they stretch and then they contract but like it's a lot less.
But not in a horny way, just to make that clear.
No kink at Pride.
Yes. I'm launching guys in leather into Pride in order to ensure. In order to ensure the kink is preserved.
Doing some light siege
queer
play.
battering rams.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it.
So we've talked about the Virgin indirect fire.
Yes.
Now we're going to talk about the Chad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Trebuchet.
I love it. I'm telling you, this trebuchet meme lives in my head rent free. I just absolutely love it. I love it so much.
Yeah, so it's like a real good way to hurl a big rock a long way away is to use gravity. So rather than having a bunch of ropes, in tension, try and move stuff, what you have is a whole bunch of weights, right? And the weight drops down, right? And that makes a big long arm go up, right? And you use the power of leverage, including a big sling, in order that the rock goes out and over and far away from you at high speeds.
Yeah, and these things rule, which is part of the reason why people love reconstructing them. And you can therefore see them doing the shit on YouTube, and it makes a hell of a noise.
The physics department at my high school had a trebuchet competition every year to see who could hurl a tennis ball the farthest.
Tennis ball.
Tennis ball, yeah. Well, the people
someone
won,
was a fan of Henry V, part one.
The team that won actually built a catapult.
I guess there's a lesson here not to be partisan.
Yes. Well, elastic is a lot better now than it used to be. You can do a lot with bungee cords.
Yeah. Whereas this is a bucket full of big rocks and one much bigger rock or dead cow.
I think my team built it out of PVC pipes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So this is a big ass machine. It throws the rock a long distance. You can usually get off 2 big rocks an hour. I don't know if you can find 2 big rocks an hour. That's something I'm a little confused by.
BYO rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, yeah, because you had to transport all the rocks there probably, so you had adequate ammunition. right? In addition to, I guess, your diseased cattle and your dead plague victims.
Well, yeah, I mean, like fundamentally, rock is good because rock is heavy.
Yes.
But you throw anything from far enough away, and it, if it hits people, that hurt.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get hit with dead cow.
This is true. Yeah, I think if I were
the good thing about diseased cattle and plague victims is they make themselves, because siege camps are notoriously unhealthy. Like the thing that the sort of Burning Man town that you erect around a castle that you are trying to besiege is a horrible place for anyone to live, and an absolute breeding ground for any disease, but most notably syphilis, which originated in one of these.
Yeah. So the syphilis, fun fact, like 15th century, I think, maybe 16th century, it just like shows up at the end of the medieval period, like, what up? And it's like an army camp thing. So yeah, we don't have it around in the 12th century or whatever. And there's a lot of hand wringing about where from all the syphilis done came, and was it God?
Yes.
And is he mad at you for all of the camp shags?
I believe it. Someone fucked something they shouldn't have.
But
I like that.
Yeah.
Roz, I like that a lot.
And of course, the various polities of Europe's response was to name it after their worst enemy. So the French disease, the Spanish disease, the English disease, depending on who you hate the most that month.
So this is a very efficient way of delivering very large payloads a long distance, until, of course...
This is also my Tinder profile.
Yes.
Ladies.
Now, one of the problems is, in order to get all the stuff there, you have to get all the stuff there. Yeah, so you have to have this god-awful train of horses. This is a relatively modern one. In order to move all your giant siege engine equipment, then you got to like assemble it.
Yeah, and the more horses and carts that you're using for siege equipment, the less you're using for food, which means the more that you have to forage, which, is kind of like diminishing returns, because there's only so many times you can rob the same farm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, this is... and the other thing is, they may have some like big siege engines inside the castle, so they might be shooting rocks at you.
Works both ways.
Yes.
So
anyway, I thought we'd do some exercises.
Okay.
Into how to siege
open your
various
textbooks.
castles. Yes, open your copybook now. Look around you. Okay. So here's a castle, and we want to siege it, right?
Okay.
This is the Cinderella Castle at Walt Disney World, in the Magic
Oh, I'm
Kingdom.
coming.
Future episode. But yeah, we're gonna siege this down, and we are gonna make them convert to Islam, because we are
exactly
the lustful Turk in this example.
Yes. Okay. I was just gonna make them apologize for hating the Jews and for charging $8 for a churro.
We can do two things.
We can walk and chew gum. Yeah,
that's right.
Hi, I'm Alice. I'm here to kill you, and this is Liam. He's here to make you apologize.
Yeah, we should probably order of operations here. He should probably do the thing first.
Okay, so I can tell you a couple of facts about this castle. It has a moat, right? It has some pretty thin walls.
How thin?
It's fake stone.
Oh, okay. I'm feeling good.
Yeah, feeling pretty good so far. It is actively defended by many Disney fans.
And Disney security.
And Disney security.
Dead-eyed psychopaths.
Excuse me, they're called cast members?
And I can tell you,
have you seen a Disney security challenge coin? Terrifying.
Oh my God.
Yo, you gotta send me a picture.
There is a thin blue line Mickey silhouette with protecting the magic on it.
Wow.
You know what? Back in my day, back in my father's day, he used to just go to like Disneyland and drop acid as like a fucking 14-year-old, and this is what I got to put up with now. Sorry, Dad.
It grew cops on it like mold.
Yeah, it's just everything is just like copped to fuck now.
One thing we have to consider is that there is a network of secret passages, but someone leaked us the map.
Ah,
Yeah.
we have an informer. Okay.
We have an informer. Okay, so how are we going to lay siege to this castle?
Well, it looks like there is a drawbridge there.
Right.
No, is that correct? So I guess that we're gonna.
Can they even raise that drawbridge? I would be surprised if they could.
question.
That is a good question. Yeah, I'm not sure they can
From the
do
back.
that.
From the back. Attack it from the back.
Well,
Yeah, I guess.
Because
This
that's
is-
less of a choke point.
this is my first
Look how
thought
much
is
the
that
front
if
of the
we-
choke point is, man.
If we're approaching through Main Street, USA, I think you
Yeah.
want to either flank it through Tomorrowland or through Frontier Town or whatever the hell this is.
We'll see. Oh yeah, I mean the other thing that we can see on like
this
Frontier Town and stuff side, you know, we've got a lot. You got a lot of trees over here, so if we don't, we can get the stuff together to make a siege engine
That's
as well.
true.
Point, yeah.
That's like free. That's like free
This
timber.
episode
So that would
removed
be.
by the Disney Corporation. These hosts have been sorted by the Disney Corporation. Have a magical day, and it's just us being tortured to death in Cinderella Castle's basement.
If we did, if you did it that way, and you kind of like come at it from the side, see, it doesn't have like the walls are all inhabited. Like it is castellated, but none of those are like defensive.
Right.
So yeah, trebuchet that you build out of that stuff from over on the side, I guess. Just you know, hit and see what you can see. Hit it a couple
Flinging
times.
dead cast members into Cinderella Castle.
I'm gonna go get that rock out of the Indiana Jones ride.
Just 13 an hour question mark spray painted on somebody's corpse.
You get a couple nice clear areas to set up the siege engines too. I think you get maybe
I'm feeling pretty confident about this.
Feeling
This is
pretty
a
good.
Yeah.
badly designed castle.
Yeah, I think
I
you
bet
could
that
like
moat's
Yeah,
not
that
even that
wall-
deep either.
if
Yeah,
you could
we're coming
knock
for
out
your
some of
walls.
the big towers, you could probably take out the walls just by having it fall on there.
Hmm.
Because it's all Gothic bullshit, right? It's gonna fall over instantly.
Yeah, I just feel like I feel like I'm going trebuchet. I'm going from over there. If we just wear some kind of costume, maybe people will think we're cast members.
Just
Good point, yeah.
sneaking
in
in
that
building
way.
a
Yeah.
Don't worry about us. Worry about yourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So maybe let's think of a maybe a more difficult siege. So here's Hogwarts Castle, right?
We are coming to establish the number of genders in this town, and it's more than 2.
Yes. We're here as part of the anti-turf army.
Doesn't this thing only exist if you believe it exists or something?
You mean like a gender?
Ooh.
Yeah. I guess what I do
Alice,
believe
there are at least 3 genders. I follow Joe Biden thought on this.
Yeah,
no, we do believe it exists, and that's why we can lay siege to it.
that's right.
Okay.
Mhm.
Right.
We build our siege engines at Hogsmeade because there's a train which will be able to deliver materials to us.
That's a good
Good point.
point.
What
If we
do
can seize
is
control of the Hogwarts Railway,
if we seize control of the railway, there's no stops between there and Hogsmeade.
you got to wonder
as
where
far
it
as I
joins
know.
the main line. We could ask Gareth about that.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right. So let's assume we can take control of the Hogwarts Railroad. Now, under my plan of attack,
Okay.
we will be turning the buildings the villagers live in into siege engine bits because we're not gonna fucking need them. They're all 3 feet tall. They can't fight back.
Mm.
What? No.
and then I guess-
Hogsmeade is it's full of normal people. It's like an actual town.
No, that's
Fine. Collateral
it's-
damage.
Collateral damage, Roz.
Well, first of all, we're
Do you
like-
respect Alice or not?
That's right. So there's one easy route of access, and I say easy in quotes, that isn't like scrambling up Brockface. So we got to
Right,
secure that
seems
first.
to be this staircase. Yeah.
Yeah.
We
yeah.
got to secure
However,
like
that doesn't make any sense because the Kestrels take you to Hogsmeade. I'm embarrassed about how much I'm now thinking about this.
Yeah.
We got because where are Hagrid's grounds in this?
Listen, we're putting the Ford. We are putting the Ford Anglia in the fucking trebuchet.
Why don't we just use the prison? Why don't we just go through the Forbidden Forest?
Yeah,
and
I
it's
think
going directly into this main tower
by
here.
spiders.
Well, look, spiders have several genders, so they're on our side.
That's a good point. Yeah. No,
So,
I think we could flip Hagrid. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so long as we have an informant inside the castle, we're doing okay.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, like, I don't know, we don't have the 360 on this one, but I guess we'd have
Believe me, I tried to find an image.
We're going to have
through the Forbidden Forest.
We're going to have to knock down a couple of these big towers.
We're just going to have to go through the Forbidden Forest. We're going to have to give a couple of centaurs handies or something like that.
Maybe we collapse this little whatever colonnade bridge thing this fucking thing is.
Yeah.
Down here in front.
Yeah. And
maybe we just go under that.
Ooh.
And then we tunnel under. I mean, we would be really obvious.
My thought is, what you do is you attack some of these clearly Victorian additions.
Yeah, that's a lot of this is like pretty clearly Victorian in it. So none of this is going to stand up to nothing.
There was a massive increase in enrollment somewhere around 1870 or something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, like if you want to go for one of those, because that's just going to fall. Like, and I mean, none of this is actually like defended by anything other than like the cliff face.
Children.
Yes.
Yeah, and also children.
You're fighting
you
children.
Killed a child.
That's
whatever, collateral damage. We already talked about it.
That's why we're the best.
So, I mean, like, again, like, it depends on, I don't know how far this cliff goes down, but, a couple trebuchets down the bottom there.
I think if you could calibrate them to really, like, shoot up instead of out, yeah, you probably do pretty good.
Yeah, totally.
I'm feeling good about this one.
I'm feeling pretty good. I think we could take on Hogwarts, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, the other thing, of course, is medieval siege weaponry becomes compromised by the invention of the cannon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fatih Sultan Mehmet Allahu Akbar.
Yeah.
I mean, Anyway, this is the reason why it's Istanbul and not Constantinople.
Yeah. That's a big boy right there. That's a technical term.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cannons.
Cannons.
Mm-hmm.
Cannons.
That'll do it. There you go.
Yep.
All right, end the episode.
People talk about this being like a gunpowder thing, but in China they had gunpowder weapons for centuries before this.
But not metallurgy, right?
Yeah, it's a metallurgical thing.
It's a metallurgical thing. Yeah.
Is it metallurgy or like metallurgy?
Metallurgy.
Thank you. Again, another word I've only ever read and never ever.
Yeah,
I got Joe Kasabian syndrome.
Yeah, and like the earliest cannon are literally like made of wood reinforced with metal bands. Like,
really?
Yeah.
Gustavus Adolphus had.
There we go.
Gustavus Adolphus had portable ones made out of walrus skin that you could like break down.
Did those work?
Yeah, apparently.
Like reusably?
Well enough, I guess.
Okay.
He was kind of a badass. So there it is. There it is.
The science of ballistics is not very advanced at this point.
All you need to know for ballistics is KE equals MV. Whatever.
Squared.
Tail.
Yeah.
Squared,
but like the early cannon have this habit of killing everyone around them as well as whoever they're pointed at.
Yeah, no doubt.
Mostly because of barrel ruptures is the main thing. James II of Scotland, most famous casualty of this, who was laying siege to Roxburgh Castle in 1460 with a couple of cannon he had got from Flanders.
Get fucked. I love that. Sorry. That's very good to me.
He was compromised to a permanent end because he stood next to one of these cannon, which was called the Lion, and he was like, "Yeah, aren't I cool? Look at my cool Dutch cannon,
cool Dutch cannon."
And then what happened?
The barrel ruptured, it exploded, and it like took one of his legs off.
Oh,
from which he died instantaneously.
It's kind of like in Donkey Kong Country, you get some of them exploding barrels, but with a cannon and a king. So it's funny. Because it's funny when kings die.
That's true.
You can quote me on that.
It's a big smooth bore, cannon, and you just fire a big metal ball, or sometimes just whatever you feel like. Again, because that idea hasn't really lost its luster at this point out of it.
Trying to like work out a way to use big smooth ball cannon as an insult in some way, and I'm not sure, but yeah,
smooth brain cannon.
Yeah, that's me right now.
I will say also that castles are still very useful at this same time period in places where it's not practical to take cannon, like most notably Japan, where it's like it's too expensive and nobody really wants to import them. But for the most part, this puts paid to like stone castles as a fortification because you just blow a hole in it.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because none of this earlier siege weaponry was effective against walls, but this is. You might ask, well, why? I'm here to answer you.
Why, Roz?
Why?
Because kinetic energy equals mass times velocity squared. Hey, it's Justin in post-production here to say that the kinetic energy equation is actually kinetic energy equals 1/2 mass times velocity squared. Now, I would like to point out before you get very mad, velocity is a second order term here, so even though I got it wrong before, the basic sentiment still stands, right? So please feel free to get really mad in the comments. But you're still wrong, and I'm right. Okay. So if you can increase the velocity a lot...
Didn't I already make this joke?
Yeah.
Yes, but I'm here to explain it.
Oh, okay.
You made a joke about it. I'm here to be serious about it.
Oh, excuse me, sir.
So if you fire a smaller projectile with less mass, when you increase the velocity a lot, you're imparting a lot more kinetic energy into that wall. And as a result, instead of, the big rock bouncing off, the smaller cannonball just goes straight through and then like punches Archduke Moron in the face.
Archduke fuckface, yes.
Archduke fuckface, yeah.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're doing Tarawi in the Aya Sophia.
Yeah, exactly, right? So cannons, they make your castle obsolete. You're obsolete now. You have to do a new and much more expensive thing,
which has to involve a lot of Enlightenment math.
Yes. Well, no, because it's come up with in the most horrible thing that ever happened, the Renaissance.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the pointy castles.
Mm-hmm.
I really like a star fort.
Yeah, I think they're pretty.
Yeah, they're pretty.
I like it when there are towns that are built on star fort patterns. I think that's really nice.
Yeah,
you get a whole town with a star fort around it.
Yeah.
And these stay around for a long time. This is
wanting to do that in city skylines for ages.
Yeah, these really stick around. They're really good at disrupting it, actually. So I always have to teach this every year when I have to teach military revolution.
This is the Halifax Citadel here.
In Nova Scotia.
Yes, we have been here, where they fire a cannon at noon directly at the Scotiabank building. So, the cannon's a big problem for your old-timey castle. But this one guy named Leon Battista Alberti, right, who was notable also for being the guy who said, Old St. Peter's is too far gone to fix. He had an idea for defending against castles, which was these low-slung walls with sort of sawtooth pattern, angles, right, and earthen embankments behind them. So it would be hard to get a straight angle on the wall, so the cannonball would bounce off as opposed to imparting all its energy into there. And because there's a big earthen berm behind it, even then the cannonball can't do too much permanent damage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Going back to earthworks.
Yeah, exactly.
Works real good. Also, these are pretty. And it makes it really hard to get a run up on any one thing, right?
It's all designed along straight lines because the defensive fire is now going to be musketry or rifle fire, so you want to be able to like have these outcrops that you can shoot across from without having to like think about stuff like trajectory of a projectile like you would with archery.
And sometimes you see like castles will kind of like retrofit themselves with star fortifications as well. If you've got enough money, and you can see that in places like here in England, there's a little castle on the Isle of Wight in Yarmouth, and that which did this, and which is quite interesting. And little things like that where you'll get extra ones, and they'll be like, "Quick, we got to get some of those star fortifications." And it's
you got any cute. Of those star forts? I need one of those.
So it's like, you can always add that on later, so you don't have to just throw the whole castle away. It's just there are new options is the thing.
Imagine it's got to be inconvenient if like a town has grown up around a castle. It's got to be like, all right, we need your house to build some fortifications.
But then again, they're just pores. So
this is a good point. Yes.
And I mean, also, again, at this point in time, you have things like this happening. If you are during, the dawning of the quote unquote military revolution, I don't necessarily like the term or think it's useful. And suddenly you have like professional armies marching through town, and you're like, yeah, maybe a little bit of a star fort. I can retreat in there, right? Yeah, okay, cool, yeah. That'd be good, right?
Yeah, I think they still built these things into like 1840s, 1850s.
Because they're really effective,
yeah. So anyway, now that we have cannon, we have to go to exercise 3. What happens to castles? They become playthings for rich morons.
Archduke
Neuschwanstein.
This MFR was on so much opium. My God, like.
This is what happens when you're gay on opium and have only perceived any media in the form of opera.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And this is what the Disney castle is based off of.
Yes.
So how do we lay siege to Neuschwanstein?
Do whatever the fuck we want.
Air superiority.
Exactly.
I walk up to the front door and knock hard.
Honestly, yeah. Yeah,
I put a shotgun into Archduke Fuckface's mouth and I say, "Give me your castle."
It was only ever like a third built because it's like a stage set in there.
There's supposed to be another building over here. Yeah, there's I think the only thing that was really finished is there's like a performance space in the attic.
Wink, wink.
I don't think it even has like many interior walls.
No,
it's really
most of the interior is unfinished. Yeah.
I mean, think about how big that would be. Like, even when you are this rich and gay, like, that's a lot of money to finish all of that. And think about how much staff you would have to pay in order to keep that thing up. It's like these things are not, like, you can always pick up, like, for not, like, for the price of my, like, 1-bedroom flat in London, I could, like, go buy, like, a Jamka in the Czech Republic, like a chateau or whatever. That's fine. I could go buy one. Can I fucking live in it or, like, get it to a habitable space? No, I can't. Like, it's just not going to happen. So, you can look at them, but, man, they take armies of fucking people to keep them going. Literally,
Yeah, so, this is, castles become kind of, they keep building castles into, like, the 1900s into now. I should have put that one in Michigan in here.
Hearst Castle still counts.
Hearst Castle absolutely counts. Yeah.
All of the Scottish baronial houses. There's a bunch of these. Also, I do want to, express some thanks to Neuschwanstein for driving history on a bit in that almost bankrupting the entire kingdom and thereby advancing the cause of German unification.
That's right.
Which would lead to no bad consequences.
No, thanks for nothing, dickheads. I guess you'd call her a friend. Friend/ex is in Germany right now, and her boyfriend's German. And to protest, I sent her a picture. Alice, you'll appreciate this, of raising a flag over the Reichstag. Just keep them in line.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
You can't trust those Germans. Alice, this is your slide.
Fuck yeah. Speaking of those Germans, because we were talking about how siege warfare persists.
Monte Cassino.
It's Monte Cassino, 1943, the last
This is where my
roadblock.
great uncle died.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, still though. This is like the last roadblock before liberating Rome. It's a fortified monastery, which is fuck knows how many centuries old. A lot.
That was 8th century, right? 8th, 9th century?
Sounds right to me. Filled with Waffen SS guys. Not good dudes. Very bad. Now, I mean, we've said that castles are obsolete, right? Because we have modern artillery, because we have air power. Yeah. Well, we used all of those things on the monastery at Monte Cassino, and this is the result, right? It like turned into like atoms of rubble.
Yeah.
This actually made it more defensible rather than less, because you could just like take cover in the various like crypts and catacombs and stuff when the US Army Air Forces were bombing, and then just come back out into a ready-made shell hole. And the cost of taking Monte Cassino was incredibly high, even by like World War II standards.
It hurts my. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Get those fascists. Get them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I'm extremely enjoy killing fascists, and I think it's good. But like, this was the original monastery. You know,
it's still controversial, the decision to have bombed it in the first place.
Yeah,
Waffen SS, it's fine.
It's
fine. The collateral damage.
The Monte Cassino, like the thing about Monte Cassino is like when Saint Benedict comes up with the rule of Saint Benedict, which is when they're like, guys, we're going to start like. You can't just go into a cave in the desert and not wank for a couple of years and call yourself a monk. That doesn't cut it. That they're like Saint Benedict's like, look, there's got to be some fucking rules, and then they all go to Monte Cassino, and like Monte Cassino is like the original monastery of monks. So it's really fucking meaningful from a medieval standpoint and really interesting, and it's just like. Fucking priceless, you know. It's one of those things. So you know, it hurts my heart, but on the other hand, not as much.
529.
Yeah, it's like 6th century.
Was also full of looted art, thanks to again the Nazis.
The Nazis, yeah. Like I mean,
I believe what happened is that Eisenhower ordered them not to bomb it, and then Mark Clark, who was subordinate to him, ordered them to do it anyway, and that's what won out.
Yeah, and you know, and it was a mistake because it was more defensible and blah blah blah, and it sucks, and it's just kind of like on the other hand, you know, I'm pro killing fascists, so it's fine, but you know, it just sucks that sometimes you gotta like, you know,
they could have sieged it.
Yeah,
probably, but they didn't want to. Like that's characteristic of the whole Italian campaign, is that like it was this sort of like ego-driven race northwards, which really got into some bad shit. Also, this is the battle which has a Polish bear fighting in it. Wojciech, who was adopted in Syria by members of the Polish army and carried ammunition for artillery during this battle.
I was about to say, Polish bear, that's me.
Happy Pride,
I do believe this is the first monastery to be partially destroyed by a bear.
I mean, fair enough.
I don't know. I think a bear probably could have. If you had like a small monastery, a bear probably could have fucked it up.
No, he just became a monk, Roz.
Yeah.
We have censured this bear.
That's Brother Stephen.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are you looking at?
Translating ancient bear.
He's trying to do it with his little paws.
Oh, I love this. I love Brother Stephen.
Draw us a bear monk, please, fan artists.
Yes, I want. Oh, I love him.
Keeps spilling egg all over the page, but they love him anyway because he keeps all the other vermin away.
Yeah.
He keeps sleeping through matins.
More modern castle.
Remember, you imagine waking up Brother Stephen.
Nah.
Brother Stephen, you just let him go.
Remember a hot Tory cracked a Chevalier?
Yeah.
Remember how it's in Syria? Remember how there's a civil war in Syria?
Womp womp.
Yeah, that's the Syrian Air Force blowing the absolute fuck out of it because rebels were in it, and well, now they're not. Now I believe it's even reopened, but castles that survived are still a useful fortification if like there's war in the area, mostly because they occupy a strategic position. You can use them for like sniping out of, you can use them for artillery observation, and so yeah. So we're not rid of the castle because we're not rid of war, and we're probably never going to be rid of it. So you're just going to be fighting over like various ruins for, that's just in the topography now. Sorry, that was quite a bleak note to end on, to be if you're getting killed right now, you're probably getting killed on the ruins of some guy's hill fort because it's the same planet, and war never changes or whatever. But,
I mean, we like to think, we like to talk about humanity and like things like this is some kind of grand march forward. But on the other hand, wall's good, blowy uppy, blah blah blah. Poor people die. Basically, Not to put too fine a point on it. Let's go back to the Brother Steven bit. We liked Brother Steven. Come on.
Yeah. Brothers, they shave they cut his hair like he's a monk too.
You wouldn't bomb Brother Steven. Everybody would be like, oh, fuck, nah, guys, we just gotta go. We gotta go.
All right, back it up. Back it up. Bears dumping like hot pitch on you, taunting you. It's like boiling honey.
Making the bear noise.
Very serious podcast for very serious people.
Right.
That's right.
I think he's like a Yogi Bear, or is he like,
hey, boo boo, let's see what we got in the siege gin.
I think he's more like a gentle Ben kind of bear, he's he's always like breaking into the cellar. They're like, Brother Steven, get out of there. There'll be hijinks.
Yes.
Love this for us. Love this imaginary
Absolutely.
monk. Yeah. Okay, great. Look, we're ending on that.
We're
telling
ending
you.
on a high note, but actually what we're ending on is a segment we have on this podcast called Safety Third.
Shake hands for danger.
Nailed it.
Yes. Hello to the Well, There's Your Problem crew.
Hello.
Hi.
For today's story, I bring you back to 2007.
Okay. The economy is amazing.
Yes.
Nothing's going wrong here.
I'm gonna mortgage a house.
To a hangar full of private jets.
Well, that's my favorite kind.
Yes. I was a new airframe and power plant mechanic, or A&P for short, recently graduated from the finest community college in rural Minnesota.
Congratulations.
Well done.
Yes. On this day, we were performing a pressurization check on a Learjet 45, which requires a large diesel-powered air compressor to be hooked up to the aircraft and pressurized. The air compressor pressurized the inside of the fuselage to 8 psi. Then mechanics both inside and outside will check the aircraft for leaks using high-tech tools like spray bottles full of soapy water and following the smoke from burning incense.
Wow.
We got this done by upgrading all of our monks to aircraft mechanics.
I too have played Civ.
I don't know what the proper medieval architectural construction for a hangar is. It's giant stone doors closing, I was on the outside of this aircraft under the left-hand engine looking for bubbles in my soapy water when I heard an ear-deafening bang and turned to see the main cabin door had been blown open. And my massive 300-pound, 6'6" coworker lying on his back unconscious on the concrete floor with his thumb hanging on by a tiny flap of skin, bleeding profusely.
No.
Oh, come on, man.
About 15 feet away from the main cabin door of the Learjet.
No, thank you.
I ran over and wrapped his hand in blue shop towels and raised his hand above the rest of his body to minimize the bleeding, while a second coworker checked that he was breathing and that he didn't swallow his tongue while lying on his back. After a couple minutes, the company's first response team showed up, and these fine folks are made of employees such as volunteer firefighters and former Navy corpsmen, and some people with EMT training, which allowed the company to respond to emergencies without actually paying anyone extra. Right?
Awesome.
Genius.
They came over and took over from us. He regained consciousness a few minutes after the responders showed up, but was still heavily concussed and too in shock to really do anything beyond moaning. After maybe 20 minutes, a Flight for Life helicopter touched down in front of the hangar and took him to a hospital where the doctors were able to reattach his thumb, and he made a full recovery and was back to work 6 months later with some wicked scars on his hands. So 8 psi may not sound like much, but when multiplied by the roughly 3,000 square inches of this door, it means this man was hit by thousands of pounds of force. Now, aircraft are equipped with sensors to show a cabin door is properly locked, including the Learjet 45, usually indicated by a green light above the cabin door and inside the cockpit. However, because this aircraft was in for maintenance, the batteries were disconnected. So the mechanic inside had no way of knowing that the door locking mechanism wasn't fully engaged.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Fail deadly.
Fail deadly, yeah. Meanwhile, I was laid off about 9 months later when the CEOs of GM and Chrysler flew to Washington, D.C. to beg for bailout money, and it had become bad PR to be seen flying around in these grotesque symbols of capitalism. I ended up going back to rural Minnesota, working on a small Cessnas at a flight school for a fraction of the pay I was getting for working on the Learjets. This facility almost single-handedly turned me into a socialist, and I still get angry at the times thinking about the Gulfstream with the $500,000 gold paint job. And if every one of these jets is melted down and turned into high-speed trains, I will die a happy person.
Hell yes, comrade, yes.
Anyway, I love the show and keep doing what you're doing. P.S. Shout out to Alice. Go team, can't be bothered with voice training. The podcasting world needs more of you.
Well, thank you. Very sweet.
Oh,
well, that was horrifying. Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't even
shake hands for danger.
Well.
Wow. I'm going back to Brother Steven in my head just to deal with that.
Eleanor, thank you for coming on and being traumatized. Where can people find you for medievalist content?
Oh yeah, for medievalist content, check me out on Twitter. I'm at Going Medieval. I've got a blog which is going-medieval.com where I talk about medieval shit all the time. Check out my Patreon. I'm broke as shit. Come on.
Yeah.
Help a girl out.
Check out the Patreon. It's really good.
Yeah, it's it's Patreon / Going Medieval. And you get some cool stuff every month. A lot of good content. I get a lot of other good medievalists to come through and get drunk with me, and that's fun. So, and yeah, the last thing. Sorry, I'm plugging a lot of stuff. I got a book out next week.
Congratulations!
Thanks.
Yes.
So it's called The Middle Ages: A Graphic History. It's like a comic book. So it's all illustrated. It's really beautiful. I worked really closely with an illustrator who was very good at mimicking medieval art forms. Very, very cool. And if you want to learn more about the medieval period, you can it's essentially like the classes I teach as surveys for like first years in 176 pages. So it's real easy. Full pictures. And it's out June 3rd. That is Middle Ages, A Graphic History. Please help. I'm very broke.
And if you do a sequel, now you know that you can put a bear who is a monk in it.
I will.
Yes.
I'm just like, I'm going to start writing Brother Steven fanfic. That's what's up. That's what's up.
Our next episode
is the Tacoma Narrows Bridge disaster.
It's the Tacoma Narrows Bridge disaster.
Shout out T-Town 253. Yes. What's up? What's up?
Oh, God.
What's up?
Holy shit.
That's right. That's right. My daddy built the second one, like not the second one after the one that collapsed, but now there's 2 Narrows bridges because too many people live out on the peninsula and there's no jobs out there. So my dad, who is a carpenter, built the second one that we've got there now. So, wow. That's right, Tacoma. Come through.
Yes.
I have a thing to plug now.
Go for it.
Yes. Hello, I listen to Lions Led by Donkeys which I'm co-hosting for 9 months, starting in a couple weeks with their bonus episodes.
Hell yeah.
Nick is fucking off to Korea for 9 months. So that's right. If you hated me on one podcast, you can hate me on another one.
Hell yeah.
Liam, thank you for your service.
Yes.
You're welcome.
That's right. You're a military podcaster now.
Yeah. This is where I say, are war crimes even bad? Just 900 times.
Depends on who's doing them and for what reason.
Eddie Gallagher can suck my dick.
All right. Well, I think.
Alice, don't you want to plug your podcast?
Kill James Bond. It's called Kill
Bond.
James Bond.
There you go, girl.
Also Trash Future.
Jesus Christ.
Yes.
I was paying attention. I'm here. I'm present.
All right. I think we did a podcast.
Perfect.
Good.
Well done.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.
Off be the Zen. Hello? Okay. Hey, it's Justin in post-production here to say that the kinetic energy equation is actually kinetic energy equals 1/2 mass times velocity squared. Now, I would like to point out before you get very mad, that I would like to point out before you get mad that velocity is a second order term here. So even though I got it wrong before, the basic sentiment still stands, right? So please feel free to get really mad in the comments, but you're still wrong and I'm right. Okay.